right, man. Dude, Will, it's a absolute pleasure to have you on, my man. Thanks for
Thank you,
taking
man.
time out of your day, brother. I know you're a busy guy. Again, Will Whitlock is the CEO of Leviathan Labs Nutrition. Sorry, Nutrition. Um,
Nutrition.
and a lot of you probably know Leviathan maybe for their Tudka or their product Hemoflow. Hemoflow is the product that you take so you don't have to blood dump on a regular basis. It keeps your hematocrit in check. And ironically, I just got my labs done yesterday, and we got the results back already. And I was just showing Will that even with running over 1,000 milligrams of testosterone a week, my hematocrit is in perfect ranges. And I'm just gonna pull it up real quick because, like, I'm always blown away by this because, like, until I started taking Hemoflow, like my hematocrit was always at least like maybe like 54, 55 every single time I got it back. So I was like, okay, it's time to blood dump again. And it just became like a religious thing I did that almost like that the American Red Cross by me just kind of knew me by name because like every 3-4 months I'm popping in there donating blood. It's funny. I even got free Mets tickets from how often I was going to donate.
Oh my gosh.
Blood.
Wow.
Well, yeah,
we don't give out the tickets, but it's great to see that you're still getting those results from it. I mean, especially at the tail end of a contest prep, that's when you'd expect it to be like near its worst too. So that's awesome to see.
Exactly, yeah. Because in reality, this is 1 week post show, right? So like
Yeah.
this should be in most cases through the roof,
Right. Yeah.
and not even remotely there. So we still have a reference range of in essence a whole extra one before we're in that zone. So like that's amazing, man. And like I gotta ask you, brother, because like obviously the sports nutrition sector is like extremely competitive, and like everyone like is making things like pre-workouts and fat burners. And I think one of the first products I saw you make was Tudka. Is that correct?
Yeah. That was actually our first product, and it was our only product. And I actually didn't really have an intention of making other products for probably like a year, um, until in turning Leviathan into what it is now, didn't occur to me at that time. It's just I I wanted to use Tudka myself because I'm a bodybuilder. I had friends who were bodybuilders, powerlifters, so I wanted to find good Tudka. Um, the shit that was out there just wasn't performing well. I would get some raw materials and get it tested, sent to Janoschik, and I think there were like 4 different tests I did where all of them tested in like the single digits of purity or just like flat out zero. So like suppliers would just give you different sort of bile salts and say it was Tudka or something, where it's just totally something else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was an issue, and you still see shit like that on Amazon, which they're selling for like $20, and so if the price tag is extremely low like that, chances are it's too good to be true. So yeah, I mean we just started with Tudka, and the margins on that are not very good, and not very like you're not going to quit your day job selling something like that. So
Yeah, you're not
I
gonna be a
just
viral campaign for Tudka, right? Like,
yeah. So and like going off a little bit, like I've seen so many other companies try to sell Tudka. Even like if they specialize in health, they'll have Tudka for a little bit, and then a year or two, I see they don't have it anymore. I'm like, oh, it's just not worth the cost of having. But I mean, yeah, that's what we did, and that kind of gave us a good reputation. And from there, we started developing other products. And but my goal was always to develop products that would help bodybuilders, continue doing what they love doing and pushing the limits, because that's what I like doing too. But it's going to keep them healthier, and it's not gonna have them dying in 5 years from now, hopefully. And that's the goal. I mean, that's something that something like spending $50 on a pre-workout isn't really going to do.
mhm.
So if I'm able to keep people healthier and they can run the cycle for longer, or what have you, that's actually going to translate to more real world results in terms of, you know, the effectiveness of where your money's going and that sort of thing. So that was kind of always the point in me doing this. And like, we don't even have all bodybuilders. Like, of course our products would be beneficial for the general public too.
Yeah.
So like, we have people like in their 60s or something who are, you know, they're out of shape, or like they're trying to lose weight or something. They'll be turned on to our products, and you know, having like testimonials from that aspect is really cool too, because it just like it makes them feel so much better. And you know, they can finally get a good night's sleep, or they can finally um they're finally digesting their food correctly, you know, gain rid of gallstones, things like that. So it's always cool to see just how different aspects that our products can help with, and how it can really impact people's lives. And that's why I kind of stick to having those kind of products, and not really bothering with like pre-workouts and fat burners and that sort of thing. I mean, maybe we'll eventually, but like for me right now, this is still what I'm most interested in just doing what I can to make the best products in this field.
I love that, dude. And like the cool thing about that is that like it's why I initially loved coaching, right? Is that because you are truly making an actual impact on people's lives, not just hyping them up, right?
Yeah.
And like does a pre-workout help someone? Not really. At the end of the day, it's a feel-good, quick sensation. And like at the end of the day, if they just had caffeine, maybe an aspirin, and went to the gym, they'd have a decent workout too, right? Regardless. But you're actually making a true impact, right? Like improving someone's fatty liver is actually going to keep someone on the planet with their loved ones longer, right?
Yeah.
Helping someone's cholesterol and improve so they can get off the statin is going to improve the quality of life. Like, so exactly. I totally understand why you're focusing on the health sector of it, because improving people's quality of life and actual health is honestly your way of kind of giving back to the sport that you love.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, bodybuilding is not exactly the healthiest sport. And you know, it's cool to see even like the last 10-15 years, you know, compared to 10-15 years ago, like now people the focus is going more towards health and longevity. You know, and people paying more attention to these sort of things, rather than just, you know, blasting their gills out, and you know, not even getting like regular blood work and stuff like this. So it's good to see that change is moving in that direction. I think it's going to be a win for everyone overall.
Absolutely, I agree, especially since there's much more ways of people to get education now in the sector. Like you see things like J3U now that exist, right? That are in essence creating a whole new generation of coaches that are going to do things in a very specific way that's going to be more health focused compared to the previous generation, right? Like I run across people to this day who still haven't gotten blood work ever, right? Like, while like if you work with anyone who went through the academy, like at the end of the day, like they're 100% requesting blood work on a somewhat regular routine compared to like randomly asking for it, right? So like that's the one thing that's as great, is that you have these systems in place now where people can learn the correct information if they make the proper investment. Compared to like a decade ago, we were all on forums trying to figure out the best way to fix our cholesterol while thinking trend, right? Like that's what we were doing. While now we actually know exactly what to do to help improve certain metrics, compared to playing the guessing game. And because a lot of people out there, in essence, played guinea pig with themselves, and we have to thank people like Matt Porter and even like Boston Lloyd for doing stuff like that. So we could all learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I agree.
So that being said, dude, like obviously you being a very health focused individual and you running a health focused company, like what's your intake right now on like how the direction of the sport's currently going? Because you're also a bodybuilder yourself and as well as a fan.
Growing in what regard?
Let's actually say
like how I think it's growing, or
let's talk about that. How you think it's growing?
Well, I think there's a kid riding down my driveway right now. I think just I think open bodybuilding in general is like, well, I think classic is gaining more steam than open, basically.
I agree.
And I'm more of an open bodybuilding fan. Like, to me, the best days of the open was back in like the early 2000s, like 2003 Ronnie Coleman. To me, that's like the pinnacle of what bodybuilding is.
Absolutely.
And looking at bodybuilding now, I'm not really sure if we're gonna ever see that again. And that, like, that's knowing that is kind of sad. But I don't know. I guess it is possible. Um, but classic is cool. It's definitely bringing in a lot more interest to bodybuilding in general. So there are more people, with the interest. I just hope that people are educated on doing the right things that like, let's say someone looks at Chris Bumstead, because
Yeah,
he has like how many followers, 20 million followers.
something crazy.
Are most of his followers like very educated? They
Oh,
they come to the gym,
very-
yeah, like, and that's the thing with like the kids with the tripod. They come to the gym, they set up their tripod, hit a set of curls maybe, and then just like do all their posing in the mirror. It's like, I don't really get the point of that. It's like, if you want to do well at this sport, if you care about actually having a presentable physique, you're still going to need to put in that work. That Chris himself did.
Mhm.
It's going to take years of you being persistent to and doing things correctly day in day out to get to that level, or at any respective competitive level. So it's, I just hope people who are getting into the sport understand that. And like, I hear people like who want to compete or they're gonna compete, and like all they focus on is their contest prep. And like, you look at them, it's like, dude, you don't have enough muscle yet. Like, you need to take a couple of off seasons and actually focus on eating and gaining the muscle. But it's like, no, they just want to jump into like a 12-week contest prep and step on stage. It's like, well, that'd be great, but like, do you want to compete to win, or do you just want to compete to check that off your box of like saying, hey, I competed in a bodybuilding show? Which, if you want to do that, I guess it's fine, but just have realistic expectations, about what you're doing, which is also, I guess, partly in fault of social media, because social media just highlights all of like it's a highlight reel. Like, it highlights
Absolutely.
all the glamorous stuff and like people posing in like perfect lighting and all this stuff.
No,
Instead
I
of,
totally get that because I go to a gym like that. Like I go to that gym called Iron Revolution. You've seen me post videos of me in
yeah,
that posing room. The
yeah,
posing room,
they have a great posing room there. Yeah, I wish I had one of those. It's
yeah,
a really nice one.
it's perfect lighting. Like that is better than stage lighting. I promise you.
Yeah,
Like that
it
is
looks like
better
it.
than stage lighting in there. And like I absolutely agree. Right, like I am 32 years old and I finally have a physique that I am actually proud of, right?
Yeah,
Like I did my first show at 19 years old. I've been living and breathing this for over a decade. And
yeah,
at 32, I finally feel like I'm not the beginner in a fucking tank top at the gym. Like I finally feel that way. And you know
yeah,
what? No one fucking said that to me the first time I competed. They're like, yo, it's gonna take you like a decade until you actually look like a bodybuilder.
yeah,
And I would have been, and if you told me that, we're like, no way. Like in 3 years, man, like I'm gonna do it like 20 pounds a year. Like we all, I feel like, think that way when we first start, no matter
right,
what anyone tells us. And
yeah,
because also, like at the beginning, like your first year of lifting weights is the first year you put on the most amount of muscle you ever gain. And like
yeah,
maybe that year you do like 20 pounds of muscle. And then
yeah,
after that, it just like
yeah,
straight down
right,
with how much you gain per year. And like, I don't think these kids realize either the difference between also being gym lean and being stage lean, and how much
yeah,
different that actually is, because they've never actually been to a bodybuilding show. That's the thing, is
right,
that so many people, and especially like kids who hire me, they will have never been to a bodybuilding show. They will hire me for a prep. I'm like, have you been to a show yet? They're like, no. I'm like, so you're hiring me to do a bodybuilding show and you don't know how a bodybuilding show even runs.
Right.
You should definitely go at least go to see one to see if you actually even want to do it. Like, imagine wanting to hire someone to play soccer and you've never watched a soccer match.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you've seen Cristiano Ronaldo and you're like, yo, I want to look like that guy, so I need a soccer coach.
Yeah.
So I absolutely get what you're saying. And I think that's how social media has a positive and negative impact on the sport, because it lets more people be aware of the actual sport, which helps everyone financially, right? It lets supplement companies make more money because people are buying more product. It lets shows make more money because more people go into shows. The expos make more money because people go into expos to meet these people. Coaches have more opportunity to sell clients because people want to look like certain people, so they're now hiring people to look like it. Gyms now get more people to actually join the gyms because everyone wants to be Chris Bumstead. So, like, that's the one good thing about it, is that the social media has brought a ton of financial resources into it, because before I felt like the industry was struggling for a little bit. And I feel like this really, like, just was a huge cash inflection.
Yeah. And you know what I find strange about that is that classic physique still doesn't, like, I forgot what Chris Bumstead won last year, but like compared to open, it's like still significantly less.
I think it was like 125 at the Olympia.
Oh, okay. I think they're getting up there, but I think was open 500,000. It was either like 400K or 500,000 or
400,
something.
I think. Yeah.
Okay, 400.
So in essence, like, it's still less than half.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, but I mean, it's never really about the prize money, and plus Chris Bumstead probably makes that much in like a day. So
yeah, between Raw, his YouTube channel, TikTok,
and all the
everything else,
sponsorships, just the whatever, his with the following that he has, it's safe to say he's set for life. But yeah, like going back to what you were saying earlier, like I'm 34 now, and I started at 15. Like that was when I first joined the gym. Went to my first bodybuilding show in 2006. I was 16, and took a picture with Jay Cutler because he was still competing at the time, and he was a guest poser at the show. I was like, holy shit! Like he was literally like, I think like still the sight of him like back when I was 16 was like the craziest thing ever. He was literally like as wide as he was tall. I just remember that. But yeah, like my first show, I was planning to compete in 2009 when I was 19, because I was cutting down, getting ready for a show, like a natural show. I didn't start using gear till I was 23. But I knew I was probably around like 10% body fat, like whenever it'd be time to do the show. So I didn't do the show because I knew I would not do well. Like I knew I wasn't ready. Even though I came down from 250 pounds. Like I was super fucking fat. Like I dirty bulked all the way from 180 to 250, and like it was not worth it. Then like so I never made that mistake again. But yeah, like I just knew that I was not ready, so I didn't step on stage. And like a lot of people still step on stage, but they're like beach lean. Like they're nowhere near lean enough to do well at a contest. But yeah, my first actual show was 2014, and even then, like I still didn't look very impressive as a bodybuilder. And I feel now I'm starting to hit my stride. I swear, maybe it's just because I have a coach now, and we're much more regimented and know what's working and know what's not, and what so forth. But now I finally feel like I'm actually making decent progress. So it's like I can't wait to see at this rate how we look like in 5 years or something, even though I'll be like fucking 40. But as long as my joints hold up and all that stuff, I guess that's okay with me, because like fucking Ronnie was winning the Olympia, and when was his last one? I think it was like 43, 44 when he won his last one or
Dexter
something.
Jackson, what, won his last one at
Yeah. He
50?
was like, yeah, he was almost 50 or something.
Yeah,
So it's possible. I mean, you gotta protect your joints, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's really what it is. And like, dude, as you were doing that, I went and dug up a photo from my first show. Here is me with Kai Green. He was the guest poser at my show. Dude, I remember that this guy. Again, this is my first time getting Kai Green. This is my first time attending a bodybuilding show. I watched Kai Green on YouTube every day leading up to this prep. This was a prep I did myself.
Of him like in his basement cooking his fish in his sweater.
Yeah.
The old MD vids.
Yes, literally
I
all
love
those
those,
ones.
dude. Those are great.
Yeah, they were the
Eating his
best. Him
fucking plain
carrying,
tilapia.
yes, on the fucking train with the little fucking bags. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he could have had a plastic, an actual cloth sack. Like I don't know why he never got a cloth sack, but either way,
The whole experience. It was a very humbling experience. He liked to live that way. I think even when he was like earning more money, he still kept that like fucking
yeah,
one studio apartment or whatever, like and just
yeah.
like would go back there to like to feel in that same like mindset.
But this is the thing that I think made me love bodybuilding so much. So I obviously thought like Kai Green was like a super tough dude to an extent, right? Like as much as he was emotional in his videos, like I still thought he was always like a tough guy. After he guest posted, he came backstage and gave a speech and then broke down and cried hysterically, talking about how much bodybuilding has given back to him, how all of us should never quit bodybuilding. Which ironically, he still has not quit bodybuilding to this day.
Yeah, he's still huge, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just
not
wondering
downsized.
I'm wondering when he's gonna do something. Him and Phil, like Phil is still pretty big too. It's
Yeah,
like I don't know what's going on there.
exactly. Like,
They're gonna
are you
both compete
waiting?
against each other at the Masters Olympia or something.
Maybe they have a bet going we just don't know about. But yeah, man, that was my first experience. Ironically, I was the client that I fucking talk about. Did a bodybuilding show. Never went to a bodybuilding show previously.
Yeah,
Um,
that was you.
how did this go again? But
That's
yeah, no,
funny.
it definitely. I feel like I was a late bloomer when it came to bodybuilding. Like it just took me a really large amount of time. I also, you know what it was when I was very young in life. I almost embraced being a broke bodybuilder. And I don't know why, right? Because like finances makes this whole thing way easier. Like the more money you have, the easier bodybuilding is.
Yeah,
Like I remember working 2 jobs to afford bodybuilding. So like I would have to, my sleep always fucking sucked because I would wake up early as fuck to go to the gym at 5 in the morning and like drink a liquid meal, go train, and have a rushed workout to go to work. Well, in
right.
reality, if I just had more money that I didn't have to fucking wake up and go to the job at that time, my life would have been easier. If I just didn't have a second job, I could have went after work. And
Yeah,
those are things I just never thought about because I never mapped out like, oh, if I could work for myself and kind of make my own schedule and just eat all day and spend a few hours a day making money, then I would be good. Like I never thought that through. And since I've been able to do that the past few years, like bodybuilding for me also got way easier because like I have to almost purposely try not to bodybuild right now.
yeah, yeah. I guess one thing like 10 years ago it was harder to be an entrepreneur and stuff. But like, I mean, same here. I worked full-time jobs until 2021. So I remember like 2015, and like I would work as a lab tech too. So like we couldn't even have food or water in the lab. And I remember 2015, I was working with John Otis Hollywood at the time, like during an off season, and I was eating like 5,500 calories a day at that point. So like the only time I could get in food was like when I'd usually train early in the mornings too. So the only time I'd eat is like before that, I'd have a shake, go to the gym, and then go to work. I'd take a shower at the gym and then go to work and have like a post-workout meal slash one of my meals like right before work, like in their fucking cafeteria. So like my boss would see me in there sometimes just like scarfing down food and like probably thinking like, what the fuck are you doing? You're gonna be late. And then like I'd have like we'd get 2 short breaks and then a lunch, but like my lunch was just this fucking huge Tupperware thing of I do a lot of pasta and chicken or something,
Yeah.
and like we'd only get 30 minutes too, and like my boss was really strict about like us clocking back in after 30 minutes, so I just be there like fucking scarfing it down, and then like I'd get home. So like the majority of my calories were coming in after 5, like because
Yeah.
I'd have to get home and make up for all eating, missing out on all the food I should have been eating more consistently throughout the day. So, but yeah, it's just, and like because of that, I'd have to eat like pretty far into the night. That like the most sleep I was getting is like 5, 6 hours a night,
Yeah.
before you have to do it the next day. So yeah, it's rough.
It
There's a lot
absolutely
to,
was, man.
yeah,
Like
and being
they
able to have your own schedules is just so much more convenient, mostly for like the
so
meals. Yeah.
you know what? Like it's easy too, because like the way I do, especially like in prep, like I pack all my meals and I just throw them in the frying pan. I just empty Tupperware in the frying pan real quick and walk away for like a minute, come back, and then I just dump it back in the same Tupperware. Because I
Mm.
like heating up in the pan better. I like the taste of it better.
Okay.
More a texture thing, and it's good to go.
Yeah.
And then I get to eat like my pre and post like fresh, because like I remember like when I worked like in a corporate office, breaking my cream of rice the night before and having to bring it in to work and eating it like like cold sludge. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
fucking.
Yeah. I would do that with oats.
Yeah, you almost like drinking it in the car, probably on the way to the gym.
I would put it in like the small like Tupperware things. They had like smaller low cases. But yeah, I would have those in like in the fridge at work for like one of my post workout meals or something.
Yeah, no, it's so much more convenient, and that's one thing I guess I'd have to say. Like from post COVID, many of us now have the ability to work remote. Has probably been a big thing that's evolved bodybuilding for a lot of people too, because like so many people have bodybuilding or have the ability to bodybuild in a much easier way than they've ever had before, especially from a content prep standpoint, right? Like, hey, if you can work from home, like you don't have to wake up as early for faster cardio, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially if you have a piece in your house. Like I have a bike downstairs, so like I can
Yeah.
literally wake up. Like if I had to clock in for someone, like an hour before I had to clock in, just do 30 minutes of cardio, rinse off, and be good.
Yeah, it's and that's the same with me because I was working somewhere until 2021. So through COVID, I worked mostly from home. I would show up like once a week into the lab, but I was commuting to work. It would take like 45 minutes each way. So it's like, oh, you don't have to show up to work anymore. I'm like, shit, that just freed up like an hour and a half, 2 hours for every single day for me. So yeah, I mean that's a big deal when you don't have to commute somewhere.
No, for sure, it's night and day, man. It's night and
Yeah.
day. So, dude, Will, I have to ask you, you had a new product just come out, the thyroid support product.
Mhm.
Um, I got to ask you, what inspired you to make that the next product that came out?
Um, I mean, it's just along the lines of what else we can do for like functional health and that sort of thing with people, things that people could be struggling with, and metabolism is definitely up there, especially in America. If you're someone who has underactive thyroid due to whatever underlying conditions. And like that's another thing, you don't really it's not a very popular product either. And we had a lot of demand for it from like some of our retailers. So that also influenced us. But it's a great way that you can look for like a natural alternative if your thyroid is a little bit sluggish and you're someone who doesn't want to be consistently taking prescription thyroid medication like T3 constantly. When if you take too much T3, you can have all these other side effects like losing muscle, which I definitely lost muscle last time I ran T3 when I was
Mhm.
pre-contest in 2021. So things like that, like next time I do contest prep, I'll probably just try using this instead of T3 and see if that's even necessary. But
Ironically,
yeah.
I started mine today.
Yeah.
My thyroid support from you,
uh,
because my T4 was fucked.
right.
Yeah, my
Okay.
T was absolutely fucked. It came back at a 1. Um, yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna throw this in there, and I obviously make some other modifications to some of the PEDs. But now I was like, I'm really happy I ordered this, because I kind of felt like I was my energy was low,
Mhm.
especially when I was carbing up, and I was like, I normally have a little more energy when I'm carbing up,
Mhm.
And my energy was still like in the hole. And I was like, let me run. I need to run some bloods anyway post show. And then I saw that you posted it. It came out, and I was like, let me just order 2 of these as a precaution. And then I'll throw them in if my labs come back with my thyroid a little tanked. And you know what? Lo and behold, thyroid came back a little tanked. So I took my first dose today. I'm excited to see how I feel on it, man.
Okay, awesome. Looking forward to it. Yeah, I mean, in cases like going through contest prep can be so stressful for you, not only emotionally but hormonally as well. So that could fuck up things like your thyroid function also. So it could be a great addition to include to try to get things back to baseline, after a show or even, during a prep.
For sure, especially what we know, like drugs like clenbuterol can affect T3 and lower those numbers. So, like, and those are commonly used drugs during prep. So, if
Yeah.
I could just use a thyroid support product instead of throwing in T3 when I know I'm going to deploy Clen, it's a great alternative so someone doesn't have to rely on a pharmaceutical as well as possibly dealing with the possibility of additional muscle wasting, especially if they're not taking a lot of anabolics.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree.
But I love that, dude. I really love the product line that you've come out with, specifically just because like there's so many companies that make very, let's call them like niche products, and I feel like yours are so geared towards us that and it's like for us by us, right? You're
Right.
the FUBU of supplements right now. Especially even when I look at your fish oil supplement, on how much more unique it is from how the oil is made compared to buying something basic like a GNC fish oil or buying like your generic like Revive fish oil supplement.
Mhm. Yeah, and um, just so people are aware, my background is in chemistry. Like that's where I got my degree from. So I had a couple jobs, in labs. One of the jobs I had before my previous job was doing third-party testing for like pharmaceutical companies and labs. And then after that, I was a R&D chemist for a place that actually did some supplement manufacturing, but mostly making like personal care products, which like shampoos, that sort of thing. So, I always applied that chemistry knowledge to making supplements. So like more specifically the organic chemistry concepts in different ingredients and how different ingredients work and that sort of thing, is what really appeals to me and that I find interesting. So it's always cool to be able to like do more research in these different fields and try to come up with something that's like not only unique but uh, going to work better or differently than typical products that you see. And again, that's also why I like the making products for the health aspect more, because I feel like there's more opportunities for that rather than like making a pre-workout, like an innovative pre-workout or something. It's something that's a little bit harder to do. There's not as much like innovation in that field at this point. There's just like most formulas are the same, and basically accomplishing the same thing.
Yeah, and like in reality, if we look at the patented ingredients that keep coming out, they're all in the pre-workout sector, like like dynamine, teacrine, like peak ATP, like there's so many things there are made in that sector because
Yeah,
like they're used so commonly, right?
right.
And in the health sector right now, there is so much room for innovation, and honestly, we need someone to innovate in the sector because for a very long time, no one's been doing anything, and people have been doing the same thing over and over again. How many glucose products have you seen or GDA products that are literally just cinnamon, berberine, and like maybe like I haven't seen vanadal sulfate in a product in God knows how long, but maybe like little vanadal sulfate and chromium picolate, right? Like
It's,
how many
it's covered
GDAs,
all. You
right?
covered
It's
all
all
of them right there. Yeah, it's all
yeah.
GDA products.
But
There's
again, like there's so much room for improvement in areas like this, or again, like same exact thing with like EFAs, right? Like how you're using that very specific type of fish oil. And if you want to talk about that, because I understand how much different it is than everything else out there.
sure, yeah. So in our fish oil now, we have it's powder, so it's capsule based. We don't have to use soft gels. But one of the unique things about it is it's not a triglyceride fish oil. It's not an ethyl ester based fish oil, which are what most fish oils are. They're either one of the two. It's a free fatty acid fish oil. It's basically free fatty acid omega-3s bound to a lysine salt. It has to be bound to something because it does have a charge. So it's bound to lysine salt. But basically what that means is whenever you ingest it, let's say you ingested a ethyl ester or triglyceride based fish oil. First, you have to get that fish oil into the free fatty acid form. So that metabolism happens in your liver where you cleave off the triglyceride or you cleave off the ethyl ester, and then you get the resulting free fatty acid omega-3. But that's not a perfect process, unlike anything in your body. So you're not gonna use all of it. There's gonna be some waste products and then some that's not properly broken down, et cetera, et cetera. So whenever you start with a free fatty acid omega-3 to begin with, you bypass that process. So that kind of saves one step of efficiency whenever your body has to um, deliver these omega-3s. So after that process, basically your body will package omega-3s into a phospholipid form. I guess I won't get like too specific about that, but basically they're packaged into like a specific type of phospholipid, and then they get delivered to all the different tissues in your body that needs omega-3s, and your brain is definitely one of them. More importantly, DHA, that's necessary for proper cognitive function and all of that. So again, having that free fatty acid form is going to make it a lot more bioavailable than like an ethyl ester or a triglyceride, and then pairing it with things like a methyl donor, which is why we have the vitamin B6 in there, which you can also do the same thing with like choline, MSM, I think betaine also, a couple other ones. If they're like a methyl donating type of molecule, they can accomplish the same thing. And we also have sesamin lignin in there, sesamol, which I'll try to not get too complicated, but there's three different sesamin lignins: sesamol, sesamolin, and sesamin. Out of the three of those, sesamol is by far the smallest chemical structure, and its chemical structure is also not very water soluble. It's more fat soluble, which means that it's going to be more bioavailable. Kind of like the more water soluble things are, the more prone they are to like being
Wait,
metabolized in your liver.
kind of like how like B12 is much better as an injection over using an oral, right? Like especially like in this situation. So, and that's a water soluble vitamin. Actually, no.
Yeah, that could be that can be an example.
Yeah.
Of something like that. But like in general, when you're talking about how bioavailable something is, you can go by like how large the molecule is and how lipophilic it is. So out of those three sesamin lignins, sesamol is the smallest, which it also has uh, some potential for its benefits on lipid profile also, because it does have a relationship with improving fatty acid metabolism. So there kind of some other benefits to using that ingredient, which is why we have it in the fish oil product. That's kind of going to be beneficial on top of the fact that we are using a free fatty acid omega-3 in there.
I love that. I love that. And like, I guess for all my very lamest term people out there, should in essence, should we just say that it's almost like the equivalent of drinking an essential amino acid during your workout compared to having a protein shake?
Yeah, you can say something like that. Whatever helps them understand it.
To dumb it down to the very lamest form, but obviously talking about EFAs compared to protein. Most simplistic form of it, more bioavailable, less possibly going to waste.
Yeah.
Especially in the liver. And like that alone can make a big impact when it comes to obviously like our triglycerides with us personally, especially as someone who does use PEDs. Like our lipid profile is extremely important to us.
Yeah. So I mean, especially if someone using PEDs, having that ingredient there, there's going to be some additional benefits towards that.
I love it, man. I love it, dude. Will, it's always an absolute pleasure to speak to you, man. Before I let you go, I'm gonna give you a moment to plug Leviathan Labs. So if you want to take 30 seconds to pitch your company real quick before we say goodbye to everyone, take it away.
All right, sure, appreciate it, man. So it's Leviathan Nutrition, and if
Oh,
you can visit,
God damn it.
you can check out our website is leviathan-nutrition.com. You can find us on Instagram, it's just Leviathan Nutrition. Just type it in, it'll be the first result. YouTube, same thing, Leviathan Nutrition. TikTok too, if you're into that sort of thing. We have an account there that I hardly ever check, but we do post on it. Yeah, I mean, and if you're into convenience, you want to buy our products on Amazon, most of them we do have on Amazon. So there you go.
And if you want to give Will a follow, Will is Tudka King.
Yeah, that's correct. The Tudka King. There's a "the" in front of it.
He is the Tudka King.
There's only one.
There's only one. There's only one.
Yeah.
The best biosalts on the market. Leviathan Nutrition. Will, it was an absolute pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on today, man.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.